A 45-carat blue diamond sits behind 3 inches of bulletproof glass at the Smithsonian Institution. Tens of millions of people have visited it over the decades, making it one of the most viewed museum objects in the world. Most leave smiling, taking photos, calling it beautiful. What the museum placard does not tell you is that the French monarchy collapsed within decades of owning it, that its next documented owner was publicly torn apart by a mob, that a New York socialite who wore it around her dog's neck lost her son, her daughter, and her marriage within 4 years. The diamond is still there, behind the glass, waiting. Before this is over, you'll understand exactly why gemologists, historians, and even the Smithsonian's own curators have struggled to explain the statistical weight of misfortune surrounding a single object. And the answer involves something that connects a French merchant, a decapitated queen, and a postal worker in the 1950s who mailed the most dangerous package in American history. The stone's documented trail begins in 1668, when French merchant Jean-Baptiste Tavernier sold a 112-carat blue diamond, believed by many gemologists to have originated in the Golconda region of India, to King Louis XIV of France. He sold it to King Louis XIV of France. Louis XIV died in 1715 of gangrene, though historians note his death came decades after acquiring the stone, and no causal connection to the diamond has ever been established. His great-grandson Louis XVI inherited the stone and was guillotined in 1793. His wife, Marie Antoinette, was executed the same year, though claims that she personally wore the diamond are part of the curse legend and are not supported by documented historical record. The stone was stolen from the royal treasury during the French Revolution and vanished for over 2 decades. But here's where it gets interesting. When it resurfaced in London in 1839, it was smaller, recut, untraceable. A banking heir named Henry Philip Hope purchased it, and his family name became permanently attached to it. The Hope family fortune deteriorated across 3 generations. The last Hope heir to own it sold it under financial duress in 1901. The diamond passed through a series of buyers. Each transaction seemed to accelerate disaster. One story, circulating in the early 20th century, claimed a jeweler in the diamond's ownership chain went mad and died by suicide, a tale historians have since identified as likely embellished or entirely fabricated as part of the diamond's commercial mythology. Other stories from the same era named specific individuals, a Russian prince, a French actress, and described dramatic, violent deaths tied to the diamond. Historians, including Smithsonian curator Richard Curran, have found no credible documentary evidence supporting these accounts, and they are now generally attributed to Cartier's deliberate myth-building. These accounts sit in a gray zone between documented record and embellishment. But the next chapter is fully verifiable. Remember what I said at the start about the socialite who put it on her dog. Evelyn Walsh McLean, heiress to a Colorado mining fortune, purchased the Hope diamond in 1911 from jeweler Pierre Cartier. She was warned. She bought it anyway. Within years, her firstborn son was killed in a car accident at age 9. Her daughter died of a drug overdose at 25. Her husband was declared insane and committed to a mental institution. Her husband's newspaper, the Washington Post, went bankrupt and was sold in 1933. A collapse driven largely by the Great Depression and financial mismanagement, though it became folded into the diamond's curse narrative. Evelyn herself died in 1947 deeply in debt. The diamond was sold to cover her estate. In 1958, New York jeweler Harry Winston donated the Hope diamond to the Smithsonian Institution. He mailed it, in a plain brown paper package, via the United States Postal Service, first class. The postal worker who delivered it, James Todd, later experienced a leg injury, a separate head injury, and a house fire in the period following the delivery, events reported at the time in press coverage. Historians note this story, while colorful, lacks thorough independent documentation. And this is the part nobody talks about. The curse narrative was, at least in part, deliberately manufactured. Pierre Cartier, the jeweler who sold it to Evelyn McLean, compiled and circulated many of the darker ownership stories specifically to drive up the diamond's mystique and price before the sale. Historians have documented this. McLean herself later admitted she suspected the sales pitch. She bought it anyway, and then everything happened. So here's what we are left with: a single gemstone, 3 centuries of documented ownership, a French king dead of gangrene, a guillotined queen, a collapsed dynasty, a socialite's family destroyed across 2 decades, a postal worker struck by what he himself called unnatural misfortune. Some of it is embellishment, some of it is confirmed fact. The line between the two is exactly where the diamond wants you to stand. The Hope Diamond is still at the Smithsonian, still behind that glass, still drawing 40 million visitors. The question isn't whether it is cursed. The question is this: if you knew that every person in that story had stood exactly where you are standing now, looked at exactly what you are looking at, and called it beautiful, would you still go?